Hi everybody, this is D.I.Y and today we are going to make a heart-shaped box out of regular cardboard, just cutting up Amazon boxes or whatever delivery boxes you've been getting. And then we're using a template of some kind, and you don't have to have a box or whatever. I just happen to have this lying around. You can use a template of some kind. If you wanted to get cardstock or something like that, that's always helpful. There's heart-shaped cardstocks you can buy either at a craft store or online. I also use a cake round for this because I find that's sometimes a little easier for the bases. That's what I use for my Hatbox video, if anybody's seen that, which most people I think on my channel have because it's one of my most popular videos. But yeah, I also use pretty papers and all sorts of other things to decorate it here. I also use this because I find a textured ribbon is a really good idea to have. So this is like a pom-pom trim that I put around a couple times. Also helps to have hot glue and regular glue available. This is my Barely Arts glue. You can always do Mod Podge as well, depending on what you've got, but I find sometimes Mod Podge can ripple a little bit, so I like the Barely Arts because it doesn't ripple as much when you put things down, and it sticks pretty well, especially if you're doing things on a flatter surface. So I do skip a few steps here in this video, but for the most part I think you guys hopefully get it. So you don't have to decorate it this way, you can always decorate it however you want, but I'm just showing you a few different things you can add on to something like this just to make it a little bit more unique, a little bit more your own, but still look like a retro kind of fun Valentine thing that you made yourself. Okay, that's pretty much it. So on to the video. So I wanted to show you guys, there's a few different ways you can do this. So I have a few different of these Valentine's Day boxes that I got in past years. This one's actually falling apart, which actually might be good if you just want a heart template of some kind. This is from the dollar store, so it's fair enough that it fell apart just randomly. This is a lot more solid, this Lindor box. A lot of thick cardboard material went into this. And then I got this. These are dummy cake rounds. So people, if they're just making fake cakes or practicing cake decorating, sometimes this is a cost-effective way to do that. So these are just made out of styrofoam. So you can always, if you wanted to try to do a box around this, or same thing with this, you can always put the box sides around this as a wall for the box. But what I'm going to do is, I'm going to probably ignore this because this one's a little small for me, to be honest. I got this from Amazon. I like them, but if you're going to do a small box, it's really good for something like this, and especially if you don't have these guys sort of lying around. It's another alternative that you can sort of do, but I have one of these guys, obviously. I think these guys are pretty much, they're similar sizes. I think this is a little smaller, so I'm going to go for the bigger one because I want to make it a larger box. So I'm going to just trace, just using a mechanical pencil, just trying to trace slowly around. So unfortunately this has a ribbon on it still, so that makes it a little harder to deal with, but you can always just sort of move that aside. Okay, so you got pretty much the shape that you kind of want here. Just figure out if you want this to be pointier or rounder, maybe. But yeah, another really cost-effective way to do this, again, unless you have these just lying around, you can always just take templates of hearts off the internet that are pretty perfect, and then you can trace around that. Sort of like this, you can cut it out of a really thick cardstock, and then you can just trace like that around it. Anyways, so what I want to do is I want to cut out one of these, and then I want to use that template to trace around here so that it's kind of perfect as much as possible, okay? I'd rather not work with the shiny side of this. But yeah, so you're just gonna have to be as careful as possible because there's no actual way of guiding. Sometimes there's easier ways. Like say you're doing straight edges, it's a little easier to guide your knife with a ruler. So you're just gonna have to do it as delicately as you possibly can. I'm not really doing it too harshly right now. I'm just kind of getting the basic line of this. I'm gonna try to follow the line the best that I can, and it's not always easy. Especially this is my wrong hand, so I'm gonna just try to go from here. Okay, so this is where you can go a little deeper. It's okay if it's not completely perfect, too. You can see on the other side that it's coming through. And you can take a slow amount of time. I'm going a little faster than I probably should, but you can go slowly through if you'd like. Looks like it's going through the other side. So yeah, I don't love that this part is messed up. It's definitely not perfect. Just be careful of your fingers underneath. Keep them far away from this area, okay? You can just bring this up a little bit and cut through that way. I think it's harder to get past the shiny barrier than obviously anything else. If you can get cardstock that already exists, because I know that there's heart-shaped cardstock you can already buy, and then if you just layer them on top of each other, glue them down, you can make a thicker top. So that's another thing you can do if you don't want to use this method of buying a bunch of cake rounds. You might want to make sure that your blade is in place a little bit more. Mine's just sliding around a little too much. Okay, so that's free on that side. I'm just gonna make it freer on this side. Okay, there you go, it's free. So what I'm gonna do, now this is still not making things perfect, okay? But I'm going to just trim off some of these little bits around the edge, just to make it a little bit nicer and a little easier to work with. So yeah, you guys like the Hatbox video so much, I decided to do something similar. For this Valentine's Day, I've been kind of thinking of doing this for a long time, to be honest. But yeah, I wasn't sure if people were gonna want this kind of content. We'll see if you guys like it or not. I know it's a long way of going about things, but I always do the long way of doing things. But I offer a few solutions that could quicken the process for you guys. So I hope that you guys like and subscribe and share this video with people that you think are going to really like it. Okay, so there's a few things you could do here. You could either trace around this guy on the second one, or you could even use this as a template. Either way is fine. I've already cut this a lot better. I feel like you're gonna have to cut this if you want to make a better template, so might as well just use this guy anyways. So this one, I think I'm gonna go a little closer to the edge when I am tracing around it. And you can do this technique with almost any shape, I'd say. So then we just do this again. I'm gonna turn off the camera and I'm just gonna basically do the same thing that you just saw, and then I'll come back. Okay, so I switched to my green ugly mat because I'm doing some hot gluing and I don't really want to screw up my pretty mats. So sorry if this doesn't look as pretty to you. Anyways, I cut up a bunch of boxes from Amazon that I did it the same way that I did for the Hatbox video. If you have not seen that video, I'm going to try to link that above, but also down below in case you want to watch that later. It's pretty straightforward. Mostly you just cut them down to the size you want. So I want a 4-inch box, and then the top is going to be 2 inches. So I'm going to cut that down, but I have 2 strips. I don't think they're going to go all the way around this heart, but what I could do is I can cut off a little bit of this strip when I'm doing this box. And then I'm just going to cut this in half to do a lid, and then see if those 2 strips will go around the lid. Hopefully that makes sense. So I have this here. If you notice on this particular box, I cut on the not so pretty printed side of the box that's kind of messed up. So this is, as I said, I'm going to use this for the lid. So this is kind of important information. So that side of the box that's printed, I left for the inside of the actual box. So the reason being, this pretty side is what I want everybody to see. So I'm going to have the pretty side showing. So I want the outside to be smooth. And then the inside of the lid, I want that to be smooth so that it's a little easier to fit on the boxes. I think I suggested in the Hatbox video, which I think I spoke too soon, but I said something about how you should probably decorate things before you glue them down. Depending on if your thing that you're doing is slippery or not, that might be a big mistake. If it's matte material, it might be okay to do that sort of thing, but I've worked with slipperier materials and it wasn't as easy to glue down. I have my regular pink gun. I'm just letting it heat right now. I plugged it in, and I have a bunch of glue sticks. This is the glue sticks I'm using. For now, you don't have to get these specific brand, just something that fits in your glue gun, but I'm going to lay out a bunch just so that I have them at the ready. So for the outside, as I said, you want this smoother, not the rough, so you want the smoother edge for the outside of the box. Glue on the inside of the heart. Okay, take 2. So I learned some lessons. I tried doing this once before. It didn't fully work out the way I wanted to, so I have a few new tips now on how to do this. So I have a few little tools too that are a little extra. I think that it makes a difference and it's a little bit helpful. This doesn't seem to be that great with hot glue. I didn't have this for the original video, but I was going around things with my normal fingers and it really burned. So I don't really recommend doing that, and that's probably why I cut it out of that video. But yeah, it's kind of nice to go around what you're doing when you're lining things up while the glue is cooling. What you might want to do is get another little tool. This came with my new glue gun. I don't really love using the new glue gun because it's hard to actually get the glue sticks in it for some reason. I don't know why, but it did come with some really cool tools. I did a product, it wasn't a review, I just did a product share, and then I didn't do a review because I didn't really love the actual glue gun itself. But this might actually help if you don't want to burn your fingers. It might actually help with getting some glue off on the sides. There's going to be lots of strings, so just letting you know in advance. Okay, so this is going to be the base of my heart box. So what you do with the base is you have to go around the inside with some hot glue. So I'm going to start right where this point is, because this is going to be the most awkward part to line up. So I'm just going to go around this and try to work quickly if you can. So again, I just want this smooth side to be on the outside. Try to work quickly with the glue, but when you're holding things down, make sure everything's lined up on the outside as well as the inside. So I'm just going to leave it there for a moment. Just let it set up. If you want to, you can take your tool and scrape that down on the outside as well as the inside. So I'm going to try to do this as sturdy as possible. And it might look a little messy on the inside doing this and lots of strings and stuff. But again, you might want to make sure this is a sturdy box. I'm going to put something on the inside of this box, so I'm not too concerned about this being too messy. I don't want it to be too messy, but I'm not super concerned about it. So I'm doing the shiny side in for the inside of the box. You don't have to do that. You can leave that on the outside if it makes it a little easier to grip for you. So there's just a little bit of a lip showing. I didn't really want too much of a lip showing, so I'll try to do this slowly as I possibly can so I can see what's happening on the outside here. I'm going to turn things around a bit. The inside is going to be very hideous until you cover it up. I'm going to see if I can try to decorate this in this video as well. Make sure you're taking care of your back and doing stretches when you're doing projects like this, because you might be standing up and hunching over like me, so you can see all sides of the box and make sure that everything looks even. This is starting to look a little bit better than the original box that I was doing. Okay, so now make sure that this bends pretty well. Bend it inwards if you can, because this is the point here, point of the box. So again, I'm just going to want to make sure that I can see all sides. It's not looking tremendously pretty, as you can see, but it's going to be somewhat stable. Okay, so there's actually, unfortunately, a little bit that I'm going to need here, which is fine because I cut another strip. There's a few things you could do here because it might look really messy in the center of the heart. What you could do is you could always cut a bit of this and then attach it and then continue working around, or you can just cut a tiny little strip and just work with it that way, which actually might look a little bit smoother. I'm gonna do that, I think. Don't love doing that idea, but if you can try to cut longer than you think you need, that always helps a lot. And again, there's gonna be lots of strings, so if you don't like working with glue gun strings, this may not be the project for you, because there's gonna be a lot of them. Okay, so we're getting down to the end here. As you know, I have another strip that I cut mainly for the lid, but looks like we're gonna need some of it here. So it's just a little bit that I'm gonna need, so I'm just gonna cut it off a bit here. I'm going to cut this in half for the lid anyways, so hopefully I'll have a lot to work with still. So yeah, I don't love doing stuff like this because you're going to have to glue it a few times here, but if it helps complete your box, then why not, right? So I'm just going to do up and over a little bit here. Whoops, careful because it's hot and it can burn you. And I'm just going to seal it on the inside here. So again, it's going to look a little messy, unfortunately, just because we have to do this little thing here. Hopefully when you cover it up, it won't look so bad. And I'm going to make this a little sturdier on the inside here, just like I did before. Again, lots of glue strands. Try to cut things longer if you can. It's a little bit more seamless. But yeah, that's pretty much the bottom of the box. I don't really love how this is looking. It doesn't look very nice. It's really awkward working with heart shapes, to be honest. It's much easier to work with circles or obviously squares. I just wanted to make that a little bit more even so it's not so bad. Okay, that's pretty much the basic gist of doing that. Okay, I'm gonna try to do the lid. I want to show you guys. This is a very cheap silicone finger protector. You can get a whole bunch of these, I think, on Amazon for pretty cheap, but this actually is the only one that came with my kit. This is probably the most useful tool for my kit. You have to get the glue off a lot of the time, but it's probably the most useful thing that I got out of my kit. Honestly, that product kind of disappointed me, which is really unfortunate. But yeah, so this ripped. They give you cheap ones, and I honestly haven't used this much, to be honest, this silicone one. But yeah, I might get a bunch of them from Amazon for cheap, because if they do rip, at least you got a bunch more. I don't have anything else other than this. Anyways, normally it's a little easier to do the lid, I find, for this kind of project. So I have this strip. So if it doesn't go all the way around, what I might actually end up doing, just to make it look a little bit neater, is I might cut it off at the point. I'm going to cut it off pretty much, maybe right here. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do, because I think it's going to be easier to just work with the halves for the heart. Anyways, this is going to be a lot easier to work with. So what you do is you glue along the edge here of the strip like that. As usual, I'm going to start, and you can always glue this part too, but I'm going to start right at the edge there. Follow along like that. So yeah, it did leave a little bit more, so that's a little easier to just cut off there with the X-Acto knife. I did the ugly side on the inside, but that was the smoother part. I want the smoother part to be on the inside. So I'm going to cut right where this part is, the point of the heart. It's a little hard to get in there, but I'm going to try. So that's that. And I'm going to do the other side, same sort of system. Make sure you do a little bit right here too. Might want to attach it down below. Let's try to do it just a little bit in. If you can get it right at the edge of the box, that's really, really helpful. I didn't do that, obviously. Okay, so what I want to do is I want to glue in here and just sort of hold those guys together. You can do stuff with this tool, make it sturdier if you want to, like I like to do. When you add more hot glue, it will melt the other hot glue though, so just be careful with doing stuff like that. But I just want to sort of smooth things out right around here, just to make things a little easier to slide over the box too. I was hoping that I would get it actually very, very closely aligned. Just gotta stretch out my back a bit. Don't love doing this project for this exact reason, because I have to stretch out my back all the time. Anyways, all you guys with back problems get me, I'm sure. Generous amounts of glue and just roll it down, even right to almost the edge there. I might just, while this is still wet, do this like I like to do. This is really hard to do on camera, guys, I'm telling you. Okay. Fill in this little gap here. All right, I'm just gonna let that cool. But that lid looks a little bit more heart-shaped, I feel. I think decorating this is going to help it out a lot. Let's see if this at least goes over top of this other box. It actually does go, and there's a little room to spare, it looks like, which is perfect because we're going to want to decorate this after all the decoration and stuff is said and done. Hopefully this will still go over top pretty easily. Anyways, that's how you do base and lid. It may look like a mess like mine. If you do follow my directions a little bit on what not to do, it might go a little bit smoother, hopefully. But yeah, I'm going to cut out some heart shapes around the same size or so, and then cut 4-inch strips to go around here and glue that down. What you can do with the edges, if you want to, is you can put some sort of lace around the edges, or pom-pom trim, or some sort of interesting trim around the edge on the inside too. I think that'll cover up a lot of imperfections, which there are a lot, because as I said, it's really, really difficult to do more intricate shapes of these kind of boxes. You can do them, obviously, but it's not as easy to do. Okay, so I'm gonna attempt to decorate this. So I took these pastel papers, pastel hues. You don't have to get this by recollections. You don't have to get this at all if you don't want to. I just wanted to use the pink paper in this. So I did have another pack of this, so I already cut. This is just one sheet of 12 by 12 paper. And this also depends on the size of the box that you're doing. I decided to do 4-inch strips, and then this guy was 2 inches. So just gonna glue it down. You can use Mod Podge. I'm gonna use some Barely Arts glue. Just try to make sure that it's lining up and just sort of get out the air bubbles if there's any air bubbles. I love the Barely Arts glue. It's like a nice white glue, but it normally sticks really well to things. And I don't find there's a lot of bubbling or major saturation, which I think is super helpful. I don't think I had Barely Arts glue when I was first doing this box design. But yeah, that already looks so much better. So a little bit of bubbling, but it's not really that bad. And yeah, you can do the same sort of thing on the inside. You could choose a different color on the inside if you want. I might just leave this part because this is probably fine. Nobody cares about the bottom that much. And it actually looks okay. It's not too bad. Just do the other half around here. But yeah, this is where you kind of take things a little slow, trying to line everything up. And if you have a little bit of overhang on the top, that's actually probably better than underhang. But if you do have underhang, it's not normally the end of the world either. But this is going to make things a lot prettier. So as you know, I like to cut things off as much as possible. It's a little easier to cut off things with an X-Acto knife. It might be nicer to fold over things with the first round and then glue the next one so that you don't see any of this box part. But other than that, it's not too bad. You can always fix this too if you want to add a little washi tape to the edges, or you can just leave it the way it is. So that's a little bit nicer, right? And I'm going to do the same thing with the lid. I may not glue on the best, so you might want to just glue directly on the box if it's not sticking. It's going to be a lot harder when it's a little rougher. If it's not perfect, that's okay. We're gonna do the pom-pom trim around the top, right where the edges are, so that's not a big deal. I'm gonna just do a slight trim of this part. Let's just see if this goes over top. It's Still goes over top nicely. But yeah, you might want to protect the sides a little bit more. But yeah, I'm going to try to do the insides the same sort of way. It's a little bit more complicated, I feel, doing the insides, but I'll see if I can do that. I'm going to do it with a different color, and then I'll try to do 3 hearts for the insides and then 1 for the outside. Okay, so we'll do that next. So overall, this project looks okay. It's been a bit of a disaster, to be perfectly honest with you. I didn't film. I just cut this thing out using this as a stencil. Actually, I think it was the box itself as a stencil. I'm trying to remember now. Yeah, I think the box itself, because this is a little bit bigger than this. I tried to put some washi tape down. Some of it's coming up, so I need to glue it down properly. But I basically just put it on some of the seams that were showing that didn't look very nice, right? So stuff like this is coming up. So what I'd like to do when things are coming up a bit, just want to glue it down a little bit more, just so it'll stay in place there. So for the most part, I have to put something in here so you don't see the glue as much. I'm gonna probably cut some foam to try to mimic the same shape, and then I might do the same thing for here because all you can see is glue stuff, and it'll look a little bit nicer and cushier probably in there. So I also put washi tape around the edge here. Didn't really glue it down, I just put it down, and you can glue it down to make it a little bit nicer, which I do recommend doing a little later. I did glue down all the flaps. I put half of a thing of this washi on here, and then I cut the other remaining half to make almost like tabs. I glued down the tab. First I glued them, then I folded them over so that they all stuck down, so it leaves a bit of a nicer edge. It's not perfect or anything, and if you want to make it look even nicer, you can put like a ribbon or something like that on the inside or outside, whatever you want to do here. But yeah, I just did that just to make it look a little bit better. I just cut out 12 by 12 piece of paper. I just cut out this heart here, traced it out with a pencil, and then cut it out, made it look a little nicer. So what I bought, and I wanted to get a lot more of this, to be honest with you, but I got, I think this is 10 feet of pom-pom trim. I found some larger pom-pom trim, but I don't really love it at the dollar store. I just wanted something that's a little more close together, and I couldn't see that there. It's a little frayed here. I'm gonna cut that off with some little embroidery scissors. These ones are nice and sharp. And then glue this on around the edge. I'm gonna just hot glue in certain areas so that it's not too crazy and bulky. Add a few dabs of glue here and there. If you want to, you can put a few layers on here. It doesn't have to be just pom-pom trim. You can put lace and stuff around here as well. It just looks cuter, I think, with pom-pom trim. I'm just going to cut it at the very end here, right here. There you go. And if you want to put more ribbon of some kind around here, that's fine. But it looks a lot nicer, I find, with some sort of textured ribbon. If you want to, you can go around this again, which I might actually end up doing. Yeah, let's do that. Why not? We're here. We might as well. So I would say going around the curve, you might want to do it fairly slowly. It's a little harder to go around that sometimes. Another thing you could do is you can take some fake flowers and then make a little flower wreath wherever you want to. Put it sporadically or all the way around. There's seriously so much you can do with this, but I feel like texture hides a lot. All right, see, there you go. And that looks, to me, it doesn't look perfect or anything, but it looks a lot nicer. So what I might do too is go along the bottom. So I always cut between the pom-poms as much as I can because I feel like that looks nicer. Lots of cobwebs happening here. This isn't Halloween. I'm actually doing this right on Halloween, to be honest. So this is kind of perfect. The day of Halloween. Okay. So anyways, it just looks a little nicer. It looks almost like a cake too, which is kind of cool. You could always go around it again, which I might do. But yeah, I'm gonna turn off the camera. I'm gonna do it and see how it looks. I'll just show you guys afterwards, okay? So I have a big pack of different colors of foam. It's not a very thick foam, but yeah, you can do felt. You can do all sorts of things, but I feel like felt or foam is probably nice and stiff, and it's a little bendable and it's a little easier to work with than say paper. Paper's a little more delicate, even cardstock. So I traced around this guy on the foam, cut it out, trimmed a little bit so that it would fit inside. This is the lid, and it might be a little tight in certain areas. That's okay. You're gonna go over it again with some extra pom-pom trim, and you can do other colors, whatever. I just got pink, so we're just gonna go with the pink. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna cut out another one of these. So now you have this. As you can see, it's a little bit snug. Make it a little smaller. Just trim off a little bit. Just sort of play around and see. So it seems to be fitting a little bit better on this other side, but it's not fully the best. So let's try to get some of this off too. What you could potentially do too is you could fold the foam in half and cut along the side that's working. Right, that's the normal heart trick to do. Let's see if this is going to fit in now. It's bending up here and here. I'm going to leave this part because the bottom looks like there's a big gap now. So I'm just going to trim out here. Just a little sliver, guys. There we go, it fits in a little bit better. It's not perfect, but that's okay. Yeah, I think it's more down below here. That's not working. And as you know, it's not going to be absolutely perfect, but you can fix that with the trim. And you can go over it a couple times if you need to, because these are big gaps here. But yeah, so I'm going to glue this down. I'm just going to put that one aside, and then I'm just going to do the same thing for this. All right. So just do the same thing you did originally. Start it off. So it's going to be a little bit more awkward to get in here on the inside, but you can figure it out. I'm telling you, the texture just fills in all the gaps, which is super nice. And turn the box as you go. That always helps, I think, too. Just kind of like when you're working with a cake. This is going to make putting on the lid a little softer too, which is kind of nice. Coming up to the edge here. Right in the corner there. Okay, and hopefully you have some nice sharp scissors because this is going to make things a lot easier for you. But I'm going to cut a little bit over the line here with this little pom-pom. And then I'm just gonna do some glue there. Adhere that down with the little pom-pom at the very end there. I just find it a little easier to work with littler pom-poms than giant ones that have a big gap between them. I think it looks nicer. Okay, so there you go, there's the top. Looks a lot nicer on the inside. Doesn't look like a chaotic mess. You can put a little love note on the inside of the lid or even on the bottom of the box. So I think that would be really, really cute. I'm going to do this guy off screen because it's a little easier so I can get in here because it's a lot harder to get in the base. I'll show you that when we come back. This is the base of the box, right? It's quite wide. I didn't even have to do a double layer around. And you saw how many gaps were there for this little heart, right? I did leave some, I don't think you see it right now, but you could leave little fingernail marks sometimes in foam, which is kind of annoying. But yeah, other than that, I think this turned out pretty good. This looks pretty cute. It looks almost like the inside of a cake. Fancy on the inside. So let's try to put these guys on. Oh, and it goes on nicely and it's really soft. So it gives a little bit more dimension to this box. Yeah, it's quite big. As you can see, these are my hands. You can put lots of stuff in here. All sorts of fun stuff. You can put little toys, little stuffies or something. If you want to, you can put a few cupcake liners in here to divide certain things. It doesn't have to be food specific or anything like that, but if you're going to do food specific stuff, I would say wrap them. If you don't want the inside of your box to get all messy, especially if you're gifting chocolate, I would say wrap that stuff. But yeah, you can divide things with cupcake liners or something like that. But yeah, even though it kind of gave me some grief, it looks a lot nicer than I thought it was going to. But yeah, I'm going to cut a few things out. Maybe I'll see what I can decorate with. You can decorate with lots of cool stuff. You can probably have these foam roses and you can make this look like a cake. Just cut this part off and just sort of place stuff like this around. Maybe a little row of them or something, especially just to cover up some of the glue here and there. But yeah, this would be nice for not just Valentine's Day, but weddings and things like that. If you can master this, I'm just sort of doing one. You can do a bunch of these. Obviously, this is very time consuming. This is my second day on this, and I might go away and come back and just make a little fun centerpiece almost for the center of this heart, and then maybe cut out some stuff. So I'll see what kind of cool stuff there is. Oh, you can even make this look like a cake by adding fake cherries or strawberries to the top. If you wanted to, you can pipe on lightweight spackle, because I've done that in a cake box video, so you could always do something really cool with that. I'll try to link that cake box video down below and maybe above here. It's a really, really fun one. There's a lot of cool different cakes that I make, and also I make a bonus brownie box. In case you guys are interested in making a brownie box, it's really, really cute, and some people have actually been tricked on the internet with it. They're like, I thought that was a real brownie until I realized it was a box. So I guess I did a pretty good job with that. Anyways, yeah, if you're using hot glue, it's a very glue string heavy project, but it is quite sturdy, which is really nice. So yeah, so that's pretty much that, guys. I'll show you some more decorations and stuff, but that's basically it. If you don't care about the decorations, that's pretty much the end of the video for you. But yeah, if you guys want to stay to the end and watch the rest, then check it out next. So I cleaned up my table a little bit and wound this around some of the cardboard we cut out that we didn't use. There's quite a bit left still of the pom-pom trim, so that's really good. So decorating. What I did was I made an image in Procreate. I cut out the same image but at different sizes and different heart shapes and different dies. So I just wanted to see and just play around with what would actually work on here. I don't really love this one because the way I cut it out is kind of meh. It's a good size, but yeah. So I have like a whole bunch of these guys. I just thought it'd be really, really cute because my husband calls me Kitten. I call him Bunny for just our little nicknames. I just thought that would be kind of fun. So we'll just play around with that. And then I have all sorts of Valentine's Day dies. And then some stuff that I cut out. There's a whole bunch that I've cut out. Cool retro Valentine's Day images. You can put it on here. You can cut it out the shape that you want. I also have a doily, which I think I'm actually going to probably use in this. I also have this. I also kind of like this, so I might use this as well. I only have a few of these left, but I had a whole bunch that I cut out. Mostly the cupids and the kisses are left. Oh, and there's more of these kind of things here. So I have a lot of Valentine's Day, Palentine's Day, Galentine's Day sentiment. I printed this out. I like the font and I just played around with it a little bit. This is a while ago I did this. I printed a whole bunch of these out on sparkly paper, so it kind of gives a really cool effect. And some of them I rounded the corners. I actually kind of like that one because it's got a rounder corner. I could still round the corners on stuff that I kind of like the colors better. I think I'm going to take away these cupid ones. See what works here. I actually kind of like that. Kisses Valentine. And then maybe I can put some roses here. Let's see. Maybe a few of those. But yeah, you can definitely play around and see what works for you. I like this because it kind of looks like Valentine's Day cake almost. That might be kind of cute. Actually, I kind of like that better. Yeah, so it's kind of a matter of playing around. Okay, I just glued this doily down off screen. My husband came out and decided to make some lunch, so sorry I didn't show you that. Basically just glued the center, glued the edges so that the edges are down. So the next thing, I'm gonna glue this in the center. My Barely Arts glue. A lot of the flat stuff I'm gonna use the Barely Arts glue with. This isn't a design that I feel like everybody needs to follow. As I said, you use what you've got and play around. You can decorate it any way you want. You can add more textured ribbon around the edges here, which I probably should do, but I don't have any others that I want to play with, unfortunately, right now. You can even add more pom-poms or something. Okay, I brought out my hearts that I have cut up already. Kind of like this. This blue sort of goes with this blue heart, which is kind of cool. There's some metallic in here. There's lots of different textures playing around. I just cut the same part out with my heart-shaped punch that I have. Here, I'll show you. I have this punch here I use quite frequently. It's a good size, good shape for just adding little fun embellishments so it looks like Valentine's Day threw up all over your stuff. This is by Marby Uchida. I don't even know. I can't remember. I got this a long time ago, so probably online or something. Okay, I'm just gonna glue. Try not to burn yourself. Glue that along here. I'm just gonna zip this a bit more. I just saw a tip, which I don't have one, but apparently somebody online said something about if you want to get rid of glue strings, you can take like a lint roller and you can go over certain projects and get some glue strings off, but I think this is a little too 3D, probably. I feel like it needs something here though. Too much space there. Let's see here. But yeah, I mean, you can put a little more flowers and stuff, but I think this is pretty much it for these kind of flowers that I have. Yeah, I might just put this over here. And there you go. That's the box I decorated. Again, you can decorate it however you want. I obviously made my own art because I just thought it'd be fun to do something a little bit different and original. You can use your own art. You can use somebody else's art that you find on the internet, hopefully with their permission. Some artists even just make money by selling stuff to specific marketplaces. Anyways, I just thought that this was kind of like a fun, random design. Super cute. I just showed my husband. He was like, oh my god, it's so cute. So if you like this sort of thing, obviously, if you're into fun, retro-y looking boxes for Valentine's Day, obviously it's not retro art, but if you wanted to, you could do some really, really cool retro art. Even like the Valentine's Day I was showing you, you can cut those out, stick those on, whatever. There's all sorts of cool ones like that. And you can put more trim around the edge here. There's a zigzag looking trim. It's called rickrack, I think. So you can put rickrack around the edge too. That's always a nice, flat, cool textured design. I don't have any rickrack, unfortunately. You do you, however you want to decorate it. Yeah, yeah, I just decided to do this because I thought this would be kind of fun. Anyways, I hope you guys liked that video. I know that it was kind of chaotic, but I think it does turn out really cute in the end. And as you can see, you can hold so much stuff and it still looks cute on the inside. Pretty sturdy because of the cardboard and also the cake rounds we just used. The cardboard box, cake round, any kind of heart-shaped template. You can get cardstock that's heart-shaped if you want that kind of template too. If you have something like this, an old box lying around that you think is a good size, good shape, that could work too. You can make these all different sizes. It doesn't have to be as huge as I made it. I made it pretty big and pretty wide, but you can make smaller ones too. I find the smaller ones might be a little harder to do with thicker cardboard material, maybe a thinner but still solid cardstock. You could do similar methods. You might want to bend it more though if it's not corrugated. When it's corrugated, it's easier to cut it and then bend it around something. And again, you can add ribbon. I obviously used washi tape here, but you can add ribbon around it or something. Yeah, I think it looks super cute. It's growing on me. It's growing on me. Sometimes I don't love this hyper Valentine's-y kind of stuff, but it's actually pretty cute, I think. That was fun to do. I did that maybe for an hour or two. I can't really remember how long it took me, but maybe about an hour to draw this guy. Kind of a fun little illustration. But anyways, I'm just gonna take this out of the way. But yeah, I hope you guys liked that video. If you do, please give it a like and subscribe and share the video if you think anybody's going to enjoy this kind of content, especially if you're looking for ideas for Valentine's Day. This is a fun one. You can also take an old box. If you want to just take like an old chocolate box, you can put some of your own candies or chocolate in the box and then wrap it around with ribbon or whatever. Just decorate it however you want with doilies. I think they're originally for tea parties or something, as far as I know. People put tea on them. It makes things look fancy and really cute. But I find doilies show up a lot in Valentine's Day, especially retro Valentine's Day sort of stuff. Anyways, guys, I really hope that you like that. I hope you guys all have an amazing Valentine's Day or Palentine's Day or Galentine's Day. You can always do this for Palentine's or Valentine's, I guess, as well. But yeah, you do you. It could be whatever color combo you want. You can do nothing but hearts. It doesn't have to have an actual image on the inside. You know me, I'm an illustrator, so I kind of want to make it a little more unique and a little more fun. Just love this cat and bunny in love and exchanging Valentines to each other. I think that that's really, really cute. Anyways, guys, I think that's pretty much it. And I hope you guys all have an awesome day, week, month, year, all that stuff. Okay, have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye.